Good morning, everyone. Just a couple of things to make you aware of before we get started today. 'Tis the season for tamales, they tell me. Through its annual tamale sale, St. Andrews is once again supporting the programs of Manos de Cristo, access to emergency food and clothing for children, adults, and seniors, quality low-cost dental care, and adult education classes. You can choose from 5, count them, 5 varieties: pork, jalapeno pork, chicken, bean that's not vegetarian, and vegan Southwestern blend. Everybody say, okay. Just making sure you're listening. You place the orders online. Is that the only place? Yes. Okay, so you need one of these with an email address on it. Beth is handing them out. If you didn't get one, will they be on a table out there maybe? Yes. Okay, they'll be on the welcome table, one of these blue sheets. And that's how you order. Many thanks to folks who made the Thanksgiving dinner possible. A great success, and even had food left over. So, some Thanksgiving food is packed up and ready to go and will be in the lobby. Where in the lobby? Front doors? Bench? Out there somewhere, okay? If you're hungry enough, you'll find it, right?
For sale.
For sale, oh. When I asked if it was for anyone, the answer was yes, and I thought, free food? What? Okay, sorry. A donation. It's out there in the lobby. Good stuff. Marilyn Rucker, just in case you don't know, has long been a singer-songwriter and performed in town, previously with the Therapy Sisters and then off on her solo career, and has recorded how many CDs now? 6 CDs. You got representative sample of all of them? All right. She is going to be out in the lobby after the service with her CDs, and any of them you buy, the proceeds go directly, 100% of the proceeds go directly to St. Andrews. Yeah. And it's good stuff, I can testify. Carol, did I forget anything? Okay. Well, sometimes I like to say that we don't come up with all this stuff to do because we think you're bored. Okay? All of these things are ministries that are important, and we just want you to find one that speaks to you. Find something to do where you can connect and something that enhances your life. Let's begin our service.
Welcome to one and all, whether this is your first time here or you've been here many times or somewhere in between. We are so glad that you're joining us this morning, and we want to welcome our Zoom people. We were so glad to have Jerome and Babette here in person last week, and I think they're back on Zoom. And they will be leading a gathering for the Zoom people for community directly after the service, so stay on for that. We'd like to welcome our YouTube visitors, and if you're on YouTube, please like us and subscribe. We learned last week that all of us could go on and access a YouTube service, St. Andrew's service, and like and subscribe after we've fast forwarded through that if we've already been to the service. So that can help increase our numbers. Please fill out the friendship tablet, which is here. Give us any information that you want us to know. If you're new, give us your email address. We'll be able to put you on our e-news. And if you would like a name tag and don't have one, it doesn't commit you to a thing, but we would love to be able to call you by name. So just let me know that you'd like a name tag. And we hope that while you're here, that someone makes you feel like they're glad you were here, that you can be your unique individual person, no matter what your sexuality or gender or race is, and that when you leave, you kind of would like to come back. Thanks for joining us today. Let's join in community.
Loving spirit of life, the rhythm of breath, drawing air in and sighing it out, pulses in all of creation. It is a simple sign of the resurrection and of the life that cannot be quenched, even by death itself. We know what it is to breathe. Our lives depend on it.
Breathe into us again. Breathe the life that never dies. Breathe the hope that never despairs. Breathe the courage that never turns back. Breathe the joy that never stops singing.
Spirit of love,
Breathe into us and teach us to sing with every breath and to live in its glory. Please rise as you're able.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. Okay. I would like to invite the young and young at heart up for our puppet show. And if you see some bags in the aisles, those are bags of food for our food pantry. Please help and bring those up. Thank you. Just wanted to let you know, because of holidays and because our wonderful volunteers deserve a break, we are not going to have youth group tonight, and we won't have Sunday school next Sunday.
That's okay. Thank you.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Wonderful friends. And why, hello, Pete. What are you doing here today?
You know, there are so many problems in the world today. I've come to teach the young people about peace of mind.
What? I mean, that's nice.
Yes, and I've come to talk about peace of mind as well.
Well, I don't think we really need you. I know all about peace of mind. After all, I'm a beautiful and powerful pelican.
Yeah, well, you don't need to throw a tantrum.
What? Well, I've never been so insulted in my life. How can I have peace of mind when someone is so ridiculous?
Actually, I think we need to learn to have peace of mind because other people can be upsetting sometimes.
Yeah, well, I had peace of mind before Pete came in the room.
Well, I would have peace of mind, but I'm allergic to monkeys.
What?
Young people, do you think Mr. Monkey and Pete the Pelican have peace of mind? So what kind of things frustrate you?
Homework.
Oh, yeah. What about chores? Nobody chores too? Brothers and sisters?
Cleaning the bathroom.
So are you happy when you're frustrated and upset? So how do you calm down when you're getting upset?
That's a good one.
Very good.
Take a nap, maybe?
That's good. Sometimes you're cranky because you're tired.
Right, so we,
Eat if you're hungry sometimes. I eat
love-
when I'm hungry.
I eat fish when I'm upset.
so we all get frustrated, don't we? So it's important to know how to calm down and have peace of mind so we can be happy. Why don't we sing a song together?
Why not?
Okay. This is a song we haven't sung in a long time. Is that a good volume? Is that good? The words are very simple. When you are afraid, when you are afraid, when you are afraid, let not your heart be troubled. When you are afraid, when you are afraid, let not your heart be troubled. Same words. When you are afraid, when you are afraid, let not your heart be troubled. One more time. When you are afraid, when you are afraid, let not your heart be troubled. When you are afraid, when you when you are afraid, when you are afraid, let not your heart be troubled. Let not your heart be troubled. Thank you very much.
All right, my young friends are invited back to chapel with me and Ms. Terry.
Good morning. I'm Steve Landsman, and I wanted to wait till the children left because I need to talk about something a little uncomfortable, and that is safety in our facility, in our congregation, in our church. And the reality is that the children in our community are more ready for safety than we are, because we do in this church almost nothing. There are no true plans or no true organized efforts to manage the safety. So with that said, starting in January, I will become the safety director. And I appointed myself. But it's something that we all need to do together. It's really, truly all of our responsibilities to make sure that the facility is safe. And in order to do that, starting in January, because we have a new footprint that's actually 2 years old this next month, we're going to take people on tours of the building so they know all the different areas where all the different fire extinguishers are, the fire codes and whatnot. Who can tell me how many fire extinguishers we have in the building? Who can tell me how many first aid kits we have? Where are they? What is an AED? Folks, we're not prepared. So it's a serious, it's something that we're only a moment away from something happening. We all watch the news, we all know what's going on in the world, and we need to have some general ideas and people to help participate. One of the things, there's 3 positions that continuously are maintained by a few people that need to be shared by the entire community. And they are the greeter, the lobby monitor, and the lockup person. And the greeter is a very important safety person because one of the questions we ask people when they walk in the door to see how they're doing, hi, how are you? How did you hear about us? And that gives you an indication of why they're here. So starting in January, I'm gonna be available on Sundays after church in groups of 10, and we'll do signups, and I'm gonna get your information. I have a picture of you now. But we wanna get people involved, we wanna get people knowledgeable, and we wanna make this a safer place for our entire community. So looking forward to that happening. Please work with me, and we will get it done together. Thank you.
The blessing of the morning light to you. May it find you, even in your invisible appearances. May you be seen to have risen from some other place you know and have known in the darkness. And that carries all you need. May you see what is hidden in you as a place of hospitality and shadowed shelter. May what is hidden in you become your gift to give. May you hold that shadow to the light and the silence of that shelter to the word of the light. May you join every previous disappearance with this new appearance, this new morning, this being seen again, new and newly alive.
Come to that time in our service when we share some of the joys and concerns of our community. Virgil is in the hospital and going on hospice care. He's a longtime member here at St. Andrews. He's 98 years young. We want to rejoice with Teresa that her sister Lenore is improving. She still continues to be in the hospital in San Antonio, but she is improving daily. We remember Tony and Marilyn, who are recovering from surgeries at home, and another Marilyn who's recovering from a fall. We pray for healing for Jan, for George, for Jerry, for Bill, and Judy. We remember our friends that have been on hospice care for some time now, Roger and Joyce and Bill. We remember Judy R., who is in the hospital right now. And we lift up prayers for Mike and Diane, who is taking care of Mike, who is on hospice care at home. And we're grateful for all the volunteers who helped make our community dinner such a success last night. Loving presence, we gather today with many concerns, joys, sorrows, and celebrations. We are grateful for all the volunteers who helped make our community Thanksgiving dinner a big success. And may we continue to find ways to serve and share our talents and our love within our community and beyond. We lift up all of those who identify as transgender, that they may find safety and love as they continue on their journey. And we also lift up all the families and friends who have lost a transgender friend or family member to violent acts. Tomorrow is the National Day of Remembrance for transgender who have died in that manner. In the midst of great sadness, may we still find great joy. In the midst of much fear, may we still find much love. In the midst of many challenges, may we still take needed risks. And may all of our fears only lead us to a greater capacity to love and fully embrace all of life. As we expand our hearts, may they include not only our whole human family, but also the very earth upon which we all dwell. As we continue to seek to be the change we want to see in the world, may we have greater success at removing violent thoughts, words, and deeds from our own minds, hearts, and actions. May we have hearts that are soft, ears that are open, and hands that reach out to the friends and strangers in our midst. We lift all these up in all your many names. Amen.
So today's scripture is from the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verses 11 through 13. This is the letter that Paul wrote from prison to his friends at Philippi. I don't say this because I am in need, for whatever the situation I find myself in, I have learned to be self-sufficient. I know what it is to be brought low, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret, whether on a full stomach or an empty one. In poverty or plenty, I can do all things through the one who gives me strength. Ancient words for today's understanding.
Well, thank you for setting aside time this morning, and we remember people that are traveling with their families and things, so appreciate having y'all here. We're on a series on how to find peace of mind in these traumatic times. It's really hard right now if you're sane. You know, once you go insane, then it's a lot easier. But the other morning woke up and, you know, I kind of scanned the headlines and start my day, you know, pretty good. And one of the first ones I ran across was calling Bernie Sanders anti-Semitic for questioning some things that Israel does. And then within a few columns, I found another article saying he was Islamophobic because he was concerned about what happened to the Israeli families in the Hamas attack. And it's just one of those times where there's so much pain and so much trauma that, you know, people aren't acting very well in this nation that was already divided. You know, when you're traumatized, the one thing you care about is which side are you on, right? Because you're trying to survive, and we've got these wounds right below the surface. You know, it's understandable. Are you my friend or are you my enemy? Problem is when you have two friends that are traumatized. And this happens like in relationships a lot, where one person's pain cancels out the other person's pain. And it becomes almost impossible to be friends with both of the people. So I think one of the things that we forget about sometimes is the importance of peace of mind in this whole process. I want to give my life as fully as I can to activism. I want to work for social justice, but that has to come from compassion. If it does not come from compassion, it becomes a part of the storm. Last week I was telling you about the peace rally that I went to at the Capitol, where by the time I got there, the other two organizers had been in a fist fight and were arrested, so we couldn't, you know, have the peace rally. And just to realize how hard it is, as human beings, how hard it is not to become overcome by the pain and just try to just jump right in the storm with both feet. You can't see it from the outside because sometimes it looks the same. You have to confront injustice. But if it does not come from compassion, if you're not motivated by compassion for the human beings that are caught in that vortex, then without meaning to, you and I can make things worse. I mean, ultimately, there won't be peace in Israel without justice in Gaza, and there won't be justice in Gaza without peace in Israel. Human beings are interconnected, and we've got to the point where any war is an unjust war, because they're all urban wars now. In modern warfare, there are more civilians that die than combatants. So it's like we've outlived the nation state, and we don't want to hear that. We've outlived the idea that religion can become a political stance. It's funny how many people God has given the world to, right? In Jerusalem alone, it's like I know 3 religions that all think that God has chosen them to have that one little spot. So all of us are going to have to do better. And to find a deeper, larger place inside our hearts is a wonderful gift to the world. Paul is in prison, as you just heard, but he's on his way to be executed by Rome. Now that tells me that he did some activism, because Rome didn't care what your religion was. Right? Rome didn't. You could believe anything, but what you could not do is question empire. You could not tell enslaved people that they had the same rights as other people. So for all the things we think about Paul, he must have felt like trouble to the Roman Empire, or they wouldn't have killed him. And he wrote a little poem, a little ode to joy on his way to be executed. Philippians. He's grown up. This is grown up Paul. This is not the Paul that, so critical and micromanaging everybody's life. He's learned through his life that there are more important things than the things we fight over. So in our passage today, and I didn't divide it very well, if I went back, because whenever the sentence starts, halfway, when I talk about this, the preacher didn't divide it very well. So what he's trying to do is say that he's found a way to be peaceful no matter what happens to him externally. And I think even if you don't want to, if you don't care about Paul, to have that art within yourself, in your own way. I learned this in a very strange way. A long time ago, I had a house, and I had 2 huskies, and we had a storm blowing into Austin. I just started working here, and so there's a storm coming in. There's no rain yet. There's thunder, and there's enormous wind. The trees are swirling around, and the huskies are just howling. They're running around in fear, crazy fear. And I'm trying to chase them to bring them in the house, and I can't catch them. So I'm getting frustrated, and all of a sudden, in all that fury and the wind and the thunder and all this kind of stuff, I hear the wind chime, feverishly making music out of the same storm. You understand the insight? Here I am running around like a chicken with its head cut off, and the little wind chime is turning all of that into music. And I was at least sane enough to say, I need to learn from this. My frantic loss of control was not helping anything or anybody. As much as we think we care more when we lose balance, if we really want to help, we'll do it from a place of peace and compassion. It may not look like that to someone else, but I think from the inside out, we know the difference that is there. So one of the things that Paul says in this section is that he's learned to be, the word is a Stoic word, and it means to control oneself, to be in charge of oneself. Paul loved the Stoics. And one of the reasons I don't think most traditional Christians understand Paul I'd say most, is they have not studied the Stoics. You don't realize the words that he's using have special meaning. The love passage, we one time did a sermon series just on one word at a time to go through there, because these things are very rich, but they have a special meaning. And this is, in the Stoic culture, they realize that what we say to ourselves is like the steering wheel. And as Americans, we don't usually even know that steering wheel is there. Right? We tune our cars, we clean our houses, we get the pesticides and all this kind of stuff, but we let what we say to ourselves go by unattended. If anybody talked to you the way you sometimes talk to yourself, right? I mean, if somebody could put a helmet on you and project on the wall what you're saying about yourself sometimes, I mean, nobody would put that helmet on. But think about how healing it would be to take control of what you're saying to yourself. Because you're talking to yourself. This isn't like just happening to you. It's like we have this inner conversation that's going on. And it's sometimes brutal. It's sometimes just dumb. We upset ourselves worse than what's happening to us sometimes. And I'm really good at being passive aggressive. I can turn little things into these big melodramas with operatic moments. He says he's learned the secret of being content no matter what's happening to him. That word secret looks like it's coming from mystery religions to me. They used to initiate people. They'd go through training. I think Christianity was once a mystery religion. When you see the stuff about the caves and the torches, that's all coming from the mystery religions. And the point of the mystery religions was not to make you a good Christian or a good Jewish person or a good Greek citizen, but to make you a good human being, a good member of the web of life. It takes training to be gentle. It takes training to be wise. So that's, I think, the culture that Paul is referring to here. That we can take the steering wheel and watch what we say to ourselves. There's also a story in Buddhism where they have the same temptation story, but it's a lot clearer in Buddhism. Buddhism, that story probably came first, that the story of Jesus' temptation is probably borrowed, to be nice, from the Buddhist. But in the Buddhist thing, you understand it better. The first temptation is lust. The tempter brings these beautiful daughters. But Buddha is making the transfer from being an ego to being the great self. That's sort of what this mystery religion is about. It's like starting with your ego and just transforming it. When Jesus says the I am sayings, I think that's coming from that culture. He's not talking about himself. He's talking about your larger life. He's speaking from your own heart to kind of nurture this growth in who you really are. In the temptation, another temptation was fear. So Buddha's sitting there in the tree, and he's doing this transformation from ego to great self. In Hindu literature and Buddhist literature, you see self with a capital, that's the great self. And the tempter is shooting arrows at him. But instead of running away, his compassion is so great at that point that the arrows become flowers as you get closer to him. We have the capacity to transform suffering into beauty. Not always. Sometimes it's too great and we can't do it. When we're traumatized, it's not the time to try to do that. But think of your life heroes and sheroes who transformed their own personal suffering into songs, or into drama, or into wisdom, or into social justice. That instead of turning the pain into something brittle and wounding somebody else with it. They transformed it. I have a wonderful 12 string, but I don't play it too much because I hate to tune it so bad. First of all, the strings are very narrow, so they'll break and they'll hit you in the face. But the main thing is, unless it's perfectly tuned, it's going to sound terrible no matter what you do. Right? You can play, exquisite with your fingers, but if it's out of tune, it's not going to matter. The same thing is true with our heart. You're not being selfish when you rest and heal. Right? When you know you're off balance, you're not being irresponsible to step back. Because rushing into the storm is not probably going to make anything better. The reward in that is peace of mind. And to want to do that, we have to realize that there's nothing that life has to offer you from the outside in that feels as wonderful as when your heart is tuned. We don't lose peace of mind, we trade it for something else. There's nothing that life has to give you that's going to feel as wonderful as when your heart is tuned from the inside. So that's, I think, the first thing, to take that. Paul's learned that how he thinks about things is going to ultimately shape how he's going to feel about things. And then second, he's learned to let go of the things that are out of his control. Now, this is a lot harder than it seems because it feels like apathy, and that's what you don't want. But in counseling, they train you. It's one thing to feel and understand what somebody else is feeling, but it's something else to fall into the same worldview. If you come to me for counseling, which you're too smart probably to do that, but if you did, and I got depressed too, that wouldn't help you at all, right? So the loving counselor is with you and is resonating with you, but they're not falling into the same traps. It's the same with activism. That in order to extend this love out into the world, you have to understand what's in your control and what isn't in your control. I also learned this from a dog. I have to start low with the bar, but I was very, very young, and we had a Cocker Spaniel named Jerry, and there was a lizard in the backyard running around, and Jerry was trying to catch the lizard, which I was already didn't want anything to hurt, so I'm chasing, trying to protect the lizard, which I'm not able to. I'm not very fast, obviously. So in horror, I see Jerry take up the lizard by the tail, and then suddenly, guess what happened? The tail came off. The lizard was able to release the tail and run away. So the tail is kind of sitting there in the backyard like that, and the dog watching it, and me going, this is important. When I was a little kid, it's like, that lizard is alive because it could let go of that beautiful tail. That's not easy to do. When we identify with externals, when we identify with things we don't really control, and that's human nature, then we attach ourselves to unnecessary pain and suffering. So, rushing into a storm where you don't have leverage to help is not as helpful as it may seem. To keep your balance does not mean that you don't care. It means you're not going to let yourself get triggered. You're not going to let yourself fall in defensiveness and reactivity, because your balance is always important when not only for justice, which is worth doing it for that, but also just for your happiness. There's lots of things we have to let go of. Then the third and final part for today that I get out of this passage is when he talks about he can do all things through the one that strengthens him. Now, if Jesus is the only way, you can count me out. But I'm not interested in a religion where I'm better than everybody else because I'm following the one true Savior. That does not sound like Jesus to me. I think when Jesus is talking about the one, he's talking about a deep place within us where we're connected to everything else and everyone else. He's talking about a radical universal love that's in there deep, but we can't always access it because we're caught at the surface of life where all the waves and storm are. If we can go deeper, there's peace. And there's also interconnectedness where we can discern what is the healing thing to do. We can discern what is the prophetic thing to do. But in order to do that, we have to accept the whole circle of life. Most of us are really good at accepting birth and life. But the letting go part isn't easy for any of us, probably. You were like a wave in the ocean. Your death is as important and creative as your life. You are an interim form becoming something else. Right? You live in an evolving environment. So you are becoming something else. To say no to the life process yokes you to pain and to suffering. That's why I quote so often from The Circle of Life, the Lion King. I just think it's like a very mystical kind of cartoon. From the day we arrive on the planet and blinking step into the sun, there's more to see than can ever be seen, more to do than can ever be done. There's far too much to take in here, more to find than can ever be found. But the sun rolling high through the sapphire sky keeps great and small on the endless round. It's the circle of life, and it moves us all through despair and hope, through faith and love, till we find our place on the path unwinding in the circle of life. When Jesus talks about the one, maybe he means that deeper unity that you have with all being. I think that's what he's saying. I don't think he's saying, I'm 2 inches taller than Muhammad. I can bench press more than Buddha. See, they're all talking about a deep place in us all. They're not enemies, they're friends. You cannot necessarily imagine what that large circle of life is, but you can tell when your horizon's getting smaller. Right? When you're getting tunnel vision, you can feel it. And that's when you need to step back and relax and notice the interwovenness of all life and all being. Because there is no peace of mind if we're at war with the circle of life. So we live in a very difficult time. And it's a great gift to come from your authentic depths and to reach out in compassion. We have to stand up for each other. We have to stand up for the people being oppressed and persecuted. No question about it. But it's so easy to fall into the storm and to think that life is a struggle between good and bad people. If life ever looks like that to you, you need a vacation. All the people in one country are not bad, and all the people in the other country are not good. There are people that are caught in a struggle, And sometimes both sides are traumatized. And both sides have good people and some bad people wrapped in there doing mischief. To stay outside the storm and call people to their own steering wheel. To stay outside the storm and demonstrate to people what it's like not to be triggered, but to work for justice and love in balance. To demonstrate to people what it's like to live in the whole circle of life. And while you're struggling for justice, you're not really on one person's side against the other person. It's deeper than that. You're for universal human rights. And when people are getting those rights denied, you're struggling for them, but not because you hate somebody else on the other side. This is the way Emerson said it. He always says things real pretty. He says, the wise who are in a storm pray not for safety from danger, but for deliverance from fear. It is the storm within which endangers us, not the storm without. It's a lesson I personally learned from a wind chime in the backyard. That if we don't let ourselves be defined by the turmoil and chaos around us, if we come from a place of attuned heart, we can bring wisdom, beauty, and justice. We can turn that pain and trauma into something beautiful if we'll tune our hearts to the whole circle of life. Well, this is what I get from this passage from Paul. We'll take a moment for you to think about how you would have preached it.
This song we're going to sing is a little more meditative than many of our hymns. It's almost like a Taizé song, if you're familiar with those. This is by John Denver. And it talks about how life is pain and sorrow, is chaos and peace. But like Jim said in his sermon, it's possible to have peace of mind. So the thing that this has in common with other meditative choruses is that it gives space to actually pondering what you're singing. So if we keep our wits about us and we're not thinking about where we're eating lunch after the service, it's hard. But we concentrate and we can meditate on the words we sing and get the meaning out of the song. It's been a while since we've done it, so I'm going to sing the first verse to remind you how it goes. If you know it, want to join in on that part, that's fine. And then I'll invite you to sing on the second verse.
I'm Beverly Nix, your session elder in New Mexico, and I have good news. We're making progress towards our pledge drive goal of $515,000. We now have 92 pledgers, one special individual being a minor, for a total pledged amount of $334,402. That's around 65% of our goal. We'll continue accepting new pledges and donations year-round, so don't worry, we can do this. Why $515,000? Well, here's what I call the top 5 reasons for 2024's budget goal, as shared by our Finance Committee Chair. 1, general operating expenses like water and electricity have increased. 2, our building's insurance has increased. 3, maintenance costs, primarily associated with air conditioning, have increased. 4, our newest fantastic minister, Erica Nisley, was hired this past summer, so next year we pay for a full 12 months of her salary. And last but certainly not least, 5, projected salary increases for our staff, which include not only Dr. Jim and Reverends Babs, Carol, and Erica, but also 2 child care workers, our church administrator and her administrative assistant, our choir director, and 2 pianists. In closing, your presence in person and online matters. Your friendliness to those in the St. Andrews community matters. Your progressive love and actions matter. Your volunteerism matters. Your donations of money and material goods matters. Any and all of the above help St. Andrews serve and support you and others. We can do this. Thank you.
Made for the life of love, gathered as the church for others, we offer our gifts for the possibilities of the beloved community. Let us be thankful as we give that we can do more together than we can do alone. Together, may our open hearts and open hands change us and help change the world. Will the ushers please come forward?
Our heart is in a holy place, and our heart is
and rise as you're able.
I'd like to take this opportunity to invite all of you to the Interfaith Action of Central Texas, or IACT's Day of Thanks service today. It's at 3 o'clock at Houston Tillotson University. We are truly in a time of storm right now, and both Jim and I will be there to help support especially our Jewish and Islamic friends. And we'd like to invite all of you to attend if you can. And now, as you go out into the world, be in touch with that place of radical love in your own heart so that you can live each day as a new day and love each day as if you've never loved before. Amen.
Amen.